So if you all are unaware, I made a video talking about how I believe PvE does not belong in Marathon, and I touched on several points, and for the most part, I still stand by that. But at the same time, was brought to my attention by all the awesome people down in the comments below, letting me know what they thought about that and how PvE could be implemented, so on and so forth. So I started to look at things from a different perspective here, all right? I wanted to shift my perspective and say, man, if Marathon was to have a PvE offering, how should they go about that? Like, how should it actually work? And what should be the way they go about it ultimately, right? So that's what this video here is about, and I want to have a little dialogue about it. I do have a few points I want to touch on here as we discuss this. They're not all my points. Some of my points I'll end up putting in another video, and there are some things that I know you all will bring to the light, you all will bring to my eyes that I totally didn't even think about, you know what I'm saying? But with that all being said, let's say Bungie hypothetically brings in a PvE mode, all right? What do we need here? Well, first and foremost, I will say, and to preface, you'll see me look down a little bit. I got some notes here to keep people on track, all right? But the first thing is, let's make sure that if Bungie's going to bring a PvE mode to fruition in any capacity, that they don't take away too many resources from the main thing, which is the extraction loop, right? That was what Bungie wanted to build Marathon around, and that is what it is, like bar none, all right? So let's keep it really, really simple. Let's say there are a total of 100 developers, right? I would say, and again, this is my brain, this isn't like the Bungie brain per se, it would not be ideal if they send 80 of all 100 developers over to work on a PvE mode and only leave 20 stragglers to work on the main thing, right? That is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That is putting too many eggs in one basket, because they could very well put it together. The people that play it are like, oh man, yeah, cool, thanks, no thanks. And they bounce and go to another game, right? Because they have other PvE options. And now you have the diehards that are there for you, that are there for the extraction loop, whether if it's the PvE or if it's the whole notion of the PvEVP, whatever the case may be, right? Or I said PvE, whether if it's for the PvP, right? Or the PvEVP loop. Those people are going to be left like, dang, you really left us out to dry. And then Bungie's gonna come back and be like, hey, what's going on, my extraction lovers? And we gonna be like, nah, dog, like, get your hands off us, man. You left us for dead, bro, to go chase the PvE cats, right? Like, so again, we want to avoid that, right? So I would say, in a smart world, or just like thinking in an intelligent fashion, if they're going to build something like this out, probably dedicate, like, you know, 25 of those hypothetical 100 developers towards the PvE mode, right? And then if you're trying to get it out the door by a certain date, maybe you add an additional 10 to 15 developers to get it out the door and then bring those guys back, right? So in a perfect world, again, if it's 100 developers, maybe 25 of them are ironclad PvE developers. Maybe you have like another 20 to 25 developers that are fluid, that work on the PvE and the extraction loop, right? And then the remaining 50, if my math is correct, can just focus on the extraction loop. But I'm just throwing out stuff there. Again, just don't want to put all those eggs in one basket there, because if it flops, that is going to be yet another gamble, and they are going to be assed out there. But at the same time, we don't want to only put 5 developers on a PvE mode. Like, that's dumb. That's half-assing it, right? We don't want that either, because only 5 developers working on an experience like that, it's going to be terrible. It's not going to be fun. Like, that literally would be them just removing the VP portion from the PvEVP loop and just saying, here you go. You're going to get on the map and be like, bro, this is boring, man. This is terrible, right? Like, no. So again, there has to be a sweet spot there per se, and I hope Bungie takes that into account, all right? Another point I want to make sure Bungie does, if they were to bring a PvE mode to fruition, and this is more so for the players, and that is to rebalance everything, right? They have to rebalance everything, and they have to almost make the PvE mode incredibly punishing. And how would we do that, right? Because look, at the end of the day, it's an extraction shooter, whether if we're talking the traditional extraction route or a PvE extraction route, excuse me, it's still an extraction shooter at the end of the day, right? So to compensate, Bungie would have to make the game more punishing. Bungie has to find a way to up the ante in regard to the stakes, right? So there are some things Bungie could do, like a blanket thing would be to add more UESC on the map. There was somebody in my comments that said, hey, look, Bungie could put in patrolling UESC in between POIs. So that way, you know, transitioning from POI to POI is not as easy as you would think, right? And I think that's a great idea. Have more higher tier UESC on the map, right? Run into more green, like UESC ghosts, or, you know, UESC commanders out in the wild, things of that nature, and mix it up per se. So that way, the experience is punishing and it isn't going to let up. It may encourage more of a stealthy play style, or if you go in guns blazing, do know you'll make a lot of noise, you'll draw more UESC to your position, and you probably will get clapped, right? Again, that can increase the stakes there, and I think that could be pretty good. Something else they could do is play around with how many extractions are on the map, right? Like imagine, because typically, and don't quote me on this, but typically there are like 2 to 3 extractions on each respective map at once. Like, and I'm not talking about cryo. We know cryo is a little bit different, but like if you're looking at outposts, it's typically like a guarded and 2 restricted exfils or something like that. If you're talking dire marshes, usually 2 to 3 on the map. So like imagine if they only had 1, maybe at most 2 exfils on the map, right? Now you got to really coordinate with the other homies on the map to try to exfil together. Or let's say you try to rotate to an exfil, but somebody else on the map already took it and got off a Tau Ceti. Now you are sitting out there like, shoot, man, now I got to go all the way back across the map, right? To try to find another exfil or whatever. Like it just creates a little bit more of greater stakes, because now if you rotate it, and let's pretend we're on perimeter, if you rotate it from North Relay down to Hauler to try to hit an exfil, and that one was already taken, so then you go down to the one by South Relay and that one was taken as well, you just got bad luck, and then one spawns at North Relay. Like think about the POIs you have to go through, the potential patrolling UESCs you'll have to encounter, all that good stuff on your way to trying to get to where you're trying to be, right? Like again, like that ups the ante a little bit. And then also too, there could be little things like, you know, having an increase of scarcity of ammo and heals, right? So if you spawn in with, I don't know, with 12 shield charges trying to go take out the warden, or trying to do the intercept event, or if there's another event on the map that they, you know, create that hasn't been released yet, and you run out of heals, now the depleted heals on the map are scarce, right? Or you burn through your ammo. Now, hey, look, you may not be able to get that objective or that win condition done. You might just need to focus on exfilling, because you ain't gonna find much ammo out here in the wild, wild west, partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, Bungie can turn a bunch of dials there to increase the stakes, to increase like how punishing the game mode can be. And I think people would enjoy that as well, right? I had some individuals in my comments, because I made a comparison for one of my videos. I was comparing Marathon to like Dark Souls and like Bloodborne and Elden Ring and stuff like that. And like, there was a lot of cats that came out and told me, nah, Craig, you probably shouldn't do that, because one is static where the other one is more so fluid and or volatile, right? Like, you know, you can learn patterns of AI combatants where you know, it isn't as easy to do so, you know, versing other player combatants. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with that. Look, I'm here to learn too. You know what I'm saying? So I dig that. But this kind of leans more into that, right? Like if things get really hard and things can get really challenging with the AI combatants, like players can like learn how they move, so on and so forth, learn how to stealth around them, all that good stuff. Again, the stakes are just much greater, and I think Bungie would need to turn the dials to make sure that so that when you do exfil, it's like, oh my gosh, man, like my heart's pounding, man, that was a great time, that was so fun. I think that's something that could work, and that would be a good feeling. And even for my cats that like to lay back and just chill after a long day of work, I think they would still find enjoyment in that. You know what I'm saying? Because their run isn't being ruined by another enemy runner that's been playing, you know, for the last 12 hours and he's yacked out of his mind. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that could be cool. The last point I'll make in this video though, and I think this is really, really important, and I believe Tarkov did this, don't quote me on it because I never even booted up that game, if I keep it a whole buck with you all. Tarkov, just the name of it just scares me, so I never even touched it, but I digress there. In regard to it, I know when their PvE mode launched, or I believe when their PvE mode launched, they created 2 separate pools, if I'm not mistaken. And if that is the case, Marathon would need to adopt that they would need to adopt that system. A PvE only mode would need to be PvE Marathon and then Extraction Marathon. Like nothing should cross pollinate, right? And here's why, or a couple reasons why I should say. If you are partaking in the PvE only variation of Marathon, cool, all good. You should not be able to take any weapons, any equipables, implants, cores, whatever, to the extraction mode, because all that would create is this circle of playing where people will stack up all the purples and golds from the outpost runs and the cryo runs and all that, and then they take it over to the extraction mode and they can camp on perimeter and beat the crap out of little Timmies that are just trying to learn the game for the first time. And there's level-based matchmaking and stuff, don't get it twisted, right? But it just would not, it would completely disrupt that flow. It would completely disrupt the regain methods that we already have in the extraction mode, right? Because in the extraction mode, we already have rook runs for you to be able to regain. We already have sponsor kits and like the sponsored experimental queue that we don't know if that's going to be permanent or not, but we have things like that that will give you the opportunity to regain. You know what I'm saying? So if you could just go into the PvE only mode and just literally get all the unique weapons that you want and all the golds and the purples and the violin seeds and upgrade all your trees and stuff like that, it would dampen what the extraction mode is all about. Because it's like, look, if I can complete my upgrade trees in a matter of a week doing the PvE only mode and then go over to the extraction mode and get all the benefit from that, what's the point of you even playing the extraction mode for progression? Like, there's no point. Everybody's going to grind the PvE mode relentlessly, max out all of their factions, right? Get all their factions, the VIP, get all the nodes, all the upgrades, and then try to beat up on people in the extraction mode. It's like that takes away from it. So again, I think they would need to be completely separate, even down to the upgrade trees. Initially, when I was thinking about this, I was like, no, the upgrade trees could, like, they could be shared. But then I'm like, nah, man, because again, it just weakens the extraction experience, right? It just does. And again, for the PvE mode to ever have a chance of like having legs and like having both parties like happy with, you know, the PvE people existing in Marathon, and then also to like the extraction people like still being happy with what they have, it needs to be just two totally separate entities. Like when you log into Marathon and you click your enter button to get to the main menu, it should say, I don't know, PvE only or extraction, and then you choose the one you choose and it loads you in the game, right? It should be that split. So again, those three things really are the big things, at least through my lens, right? Making sure that, you know, we don't run into resource scarcity and we don't allocate too many resources into doing one or the other, making sure that it is rebalanced so that the PvE individuals can really like enjoy what's going on there and still have high stakes gameplay. And then also too, just making sure that we keep things completely separate. And I would say that would be a W across the board. There's still going to be people that complain. There's going to be people that say we shouldn't be spending any resources on PvE, and you know, we should only be doing this and focusing on that. And like I mentioned before, like if Bungie is really trying to revive Destiny right now, there may be some slight, I'm about to make up a word here, there may be some slight cannibalization that will take place, right? Because you have your PvE player that's split between, do I want to play Destiny PvE or Marathon PvE? Of course, they're two different things and they're like formulated in two different ways, but still there may be a little bit of that going on. But at the end of the day, like giving people more choices, I would say is cool. Like that's fine. I don't think there's really a problem there. I am only against a PvE only mode if it takes too many resources, if I'm being honest, at the end of the day, because I came to Marathon for the PvE, or excuse me, the PvP experiences, or the extraction experience in totality. And if like it converted into being, you know, if it converted to being like solely a PvE experience, I would feel some type of way about that, especially how Bungie did Destiny, considering like I was a Destiny Crucible connoisseur, like loved it, Crucible, Trials, Comp, you name it. Like that was my jam. And we seen the way that shifted, and that hurt my feelings, if I'm being honest. That totally hurt my feelings. Bungie left PvP out to dry and catered to solely the PvE players, and that wasn't in their best interest, because as a PvE player, when you get tired of doing something, you just find another game to play and you out. Where PvP players, we're kind of weird. If we get tired of running the meta loadouts, we'll start getting creative and trying to do different things because we love the gameplay loop. So a little bit different there, but I'm rambling. I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna hand the mic over to you all. What do you all think about this? Do you all believe a PvE mode can actually exist here in Marathon, or are you against it? And if you are against it, did this video change your mind in any way, shape, or form? Let me know everything down in the comments below. I will read as many as humanly possible. I will respond to as many as humanly possible. My dogs are barking and going crazy, so I'm going to sign out. I love you all. Thank you all so much for coming and watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.